In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at how we can add some snare drums in between our hi-hats to either funk up our beats or kind of rock them up a little bit and make them a bit more interesting. Now, the thing that makes a rock beat is that snare drum on counts 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And usually in rock patterns, we're playing eighth notes on the hi-hats. Eighth notes means 2 hi-hats per beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now in our first few little examples today, we've got them written using quarter notes on the hi-hat because it makes them a little bit easier to read on the page. So in our first pattern, you can see we've still got 8 hi-hats and the snare drum, exactly as we've just described. In this case, if we were counting 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In our next line, we're now going to add our snare drum in between the hi-hats. And as I say my pattern, I'm going to describe my in-between patterns as a right, left, right, left. So I'm going to say bass, tick, snare, right, left, snare. Bass, tick, snare, right, left, tick, snare. In our next beat, we're going to add in the extra bass drum, which comes underneath the 6th hi-hat. So this one I'm going to say bass, tick, snare, right, left, bass, snare. In the next line, we can see if we look down vertically, down beneath the lines, everything is exactly in line, but this time it's written with eighth notes in the hi-hat, which is how we'd usually expect our eighth note beats to be written. So if we can play that first one with quarter notes, we can also play the exact same pattern, and this is the beat that we hear in the song Whistle. Of course, in the song, it goes quite a bit faster than that. So you can slow the song down, start where you can play the beat, and then gradually increase the speed of the song as you're growing in confidence. The next beat we can look at is the beat for Californication. Now, it looks almost the same as Whistle, and if we're playing the Spot the Difference game, what we should see is that there's just one extra snare drum on the end of the pattern. So for this one, I'm going to say bass, tick, snare, right, left, bass, snare, right, left, bass, tick, snare, right, left, bass, snare, right, left. Now, when we listen to the beat on the original recording of Californication, hopefully what we may notice is the snare drums are not played all at an equal volume. It's not like this. But the snare drums are much louder on the 2 and the 4, and the in-between ones are played fairly quietly. So to achieve that, we need to use a down stroke followed by little tap strokes. So like in rock beat, the 2 and the 4, nice and loud, there are big strokes. And we're using down strokes, which means finishing in a nice low position so that the subsequent beats can be played nice and quietly. You can just practice your hands. may even want to practice catching the rim on the backbeats, which not only does it make it louder, but it gives it a different sound quality from your taps. Our next pattern we're looking at is the beat that's mostly played in the song Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis. So comparing this one to our whistle pattern, again playing to spot the difference, hopefully the thing we notice is that there's an extra bass drum underneath count 3. So this time we've got our bass, tick, snare, right, left, and here's our extra bass drum. And we now have to play bass, snare. So we might just want to practice the and I've been very careful to make sure that my bass drums are locked right in with my right hand with the snare drum going in between. Now adding that little exercise back into the pattern that we need for Don't Look Back in Anger, we get this. Now that we can play the Don't Look Back on Anger beat on the hi-hats, when we listen to the song, the first part of the verse is played on hi-hats and then it moves to the floor tom. So we can also practice it over here. And then when the song gets to the chorus, it moves to the ride cymbal. And then the last beat on this page is the one for Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now this is not a transcription, it's not exactly what's played on the record, but if we play it confidently, I think it sounds pretty good for the song. So the difference we've got with this one, again playing a spot the difference game, is hopefully we can see the extra bass drum on the end of the pattern. Bass, tick, snare, right, left, bass, snare, bass, bass. Now, in Smells Like Teen Spirit, this pattern's not played like that with closed hi-hats, but it's played fairly aggressively. So what we want to do is widen our hi-hats to loosen them up to get a nice full sound. And then played again with the song quite a bit faster.